What's up, Mob Crew? Ooh, let me get that out of the way. What's up, Mob Crew, guys? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys can hear me all right, please put a 1 in the chat. We are literally less than 48 hours from going on our first cold case trip. Thanks to you guys and all the amazing support. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch the show. And for the members and the donations, it means the world. We are going to put all that to good use, and hopefully our first case have a successful outcome. We're going to be going to Texas on Friday. We're going to be leaving for Texas on Friday, getting there sometime late Sunday, and then starting hopefully that night, and then working through the week. And we'll be talking about this case. And I've got a co-host, Steve. So I'll introduce him here in just a second. But before we get started, we always like to give back by featuring the missing. So let me get this going here. Okay. There's that. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and feature one of the second part of the trip, and that is Aiden Clune, who went missing last year on April 27th. There is a possibility he could still be alive. They tracked him. He was last seen leaving a motel early in the morning at a Motel 6. He left south on Highway 93, I believe it's called. And he drove about 50 miles south and then just pulled his truck over to the side of the road. Before that, he was acting kind of paranoid. His mother believes there could have been maybe some mental health issues going on. They did sadly have a death in the family just before he went missing. So he was last seen being tracked. Well, actually, he was last seen leaving the motel, but they did pick up his tracks from the truck, which led into the Cherry Creek Mountain Range. But unfortunately, they lost his tracks after 10 miles. But he was wearing multiple layers of clothing, even a North Face jacket. And although it is late April, almost early May in Nevada, the desert does get warm, but in the middle of the night, it will get very cold. But I think it got down to maybe like the 30s, but if he had the North Face jacket, he could have survived. And there were many different creeks, and I even think there was some snow that he could have gotten. So there was some water sources, but none of his clothing has ever been found. They've been out there to search for him a few times. So it's possible he could have ran off somewhere. So want to keep him. So he was 19 years old when he went missing. Brown hair, brown eyes, 5'8", 125 pounds. And one more. This is Sarah Ebersol. She went missing last month, March 3rd. And it was last seen getting into a blue sedan, possibly a Hyundai. She's just 26 years old. Last seen wearing a white tank top and black shirt, just 26 years old, 5'2" and 116 pounds. This is out of Redrick, Florida. If you have any information, please call 352-368-3508. All right. So let me introduce my favorite co-host. Hey, buddy. How you doing, Steve?
Doing fine, sir. And you?
Good. We are days away. Finally, a couple of setbacks, but we did get the confirmation last night. And
well, actually, I didn't get much sleep last night. I was worried about, but this morning I finally got.
It was today. That's right.
Yes, because I didn't get much sleep last night because I was worried about that we wasn't going to get the confirmation, and which we had, of course, plan B and C if that did occur. But no, it was this morning, and I talked to them, had a great conversation with the property owners. And then, of course, I got on the phone and made your day, made Larry's day, who is the father of Amber Crumb.
Hmm.
And I've sent messages to our scientists. And so everybody will be heading to Texas this weekend.
That's amazing. Yes. So we are going to have, let me get caught up here. Thank you guys for all the well wishes. Like I said, I would not be in this position if it weren't for all you guys that take the time to watch the show every day or every other day that we're live. But this is a huge, huge thing because when me and Steve got together, we started talking about how it would be really cool to get out and actually make a difference. And
Yes.
uh,
When I
go ahead.
started my channel, I had no idea that just trying to become an ambassador for law enforcement, that it would transition into families contacting me wanting cold cases worked. And then as I've worked them, and then I saw your abilities and your dedication to your channel, I said I'd want to work with him. And so the rest is history.
That's awesome. And it's absolute honor. And thank you guys so much. I see you guys. Everything you guys donate will go right to the trip. We're bringing out Carolyn, and I think she's got a friend coming. But and we'll kind of show you guys. We'll talk about the backstory of Amber Crumb a little bit. So it'll probably be just an hour show, so we'll just get right to it. But we are bringing out Carolyn. She's a geophysicist. She has special equipment that is very, very expensive. And not only that, but to be able to use it and translate it and understand the data is a whole other can of worms. And she knows how to do that. And not only that, but when we interviewed her, well, I don't know if it was an interview, but when we met with her, doing a meeting like this, she not only wants to, help cold cases, but she wants to kind of like almost like revolutionize, like add new, try new techniques. I mean, just listening to what she was wanting to do with Dylan Rounds, I was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Uh,
Absolutely.
it's amazing. So let me get to these real quick because there's so many coming in, and then we'll talk about the case that we're going to be doing, and like I said, that we're leaving for. Thank you, Dixie. Thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot to. Let me go back here. It's me, Michelle. Safe travels, Chris and Steve. Thank you so much, Michelle. You are so awesome. And then I just wanted to say I am going to get caught up on my emails because since the trip was around the corner, I've been going out and getting some items. Steve's done most of the shopping, but I had to get some things and make sure everything's solid. Dixie Robertson, thank you so much. Good luck on your trip. Thank you so much for the $10. Casey Ann, thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. You guys are so awesome. Jilly Bean, thank you so much. That's so sweet. And Mike D, safe and productive travels. Thank you so much, Mike D. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Hopefully, we can get caught up here so we can talk about it. Thank you, guys. Sam Lamb, thank you so much for the super sticker. And Elizabeth, that's who I want to get up to. So thank you guys so much. So, and then of course, thank you to all my wonderful mods, Jennifer, Karen, D-Des, Copper Horse. I'm not sure if she's in here. I know sometimes a lot of these mods, they do multiple channels, so they work really hard and they don't get paid anything. I do try to give back when I can. So, got a lot to talk about in a little bit of time because we got to start getting ready, prepared. And I know you had a dentist appointment. So
Worst thing that could ever happen to you at this critical time. That was another thing that worried me all night, that I've got, you break a tooth just eating, and then you go, uh-oh, but got it taken care of. So if anyone thinks I have a little bit more slur than normal, it's due to that.
Yeah. We definitely get some interesting critics when it comes to fumbling words. It happens. I mean, even your favorite actors who literally, do a movie and they study, one sentence, scripts, a script, and they have one sentence. And when the camera turns on, you watch the gag reels to, some of your favorite movies. It takes them 20 takes. to spit out one sentence. They know what they're going to say, and they still fumble it.
Yeah.
So, imagine going live and there's no retakes. There's no redo button. So we're human and we make mistakes.
Poor Mrs. Steve has to deal with it continuously because she knows what I'm trying to say probably about 2 minutes before I finally get it said sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start talking about the story of what our first case is. And then not only were we going out to Texas for this case, but we decided last minute to do some multitasking, some secondary trips. So in between Crum and Aiden, at least for me, since we're going to be out in Texas, there's also the Missy Bevers case, which is just south of this case. And then and I might join you, I'll probably join you for that for sure. And then there's also those missing bodies, that we did the last show on Monday with these young men drowning. The main show is going to be about Amber Crumb, but we will touch on Missy Bevers and the other things. But she went, so she was born on September 25th, 1981. There's a cute little picture of her here. I'm sorry, it's real small. I'll get a blow up of it. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, pierced ears, just a little thing. So 2-year-old Amber Crumb was the daughter of a 19-year-old Stephanie Hughes, and then a 22-year-old Larry Crumb, who is the father of Amber and who is going to be joining us out there.
Yes.
And so they lived in Dallas, Texas. Now, at the time, I think they were going to go through a divorce. Had they been divorced at that point?
They were having some type of issues, at that time. He was out of the military, and of course, it's like all American stories. There's always hiccups, and they were going through sometimes, and eventually they did separate.
Okay. So what happened? So whatever happened was most likely on December 26th, so day after Christmas, which is absolutely just heartbreaking. It reminds me of John Benet Ramsey. I mean, just, special time, you get gifts. I know 2 years old is, but still, Christmas time, holidays, absolutely terrible. Now, so she had a boyfriend living there, James, we'll just first name. So on December 26th, so the day after Christmas in 1983, James took 2-year-old Amber to McDonald's grocery store.
Yes, it's not the restaurant. It was
I was like, okay, wait a minute. Did they mess that up? Okay, so it's a grocery store, McDonald's. That's interesting. Which is 2 blocks from their home. So this is around 9:45 a.m. early in the morning. So one major no-no right off the bat, he supposedly left her in the unlocked pickup truck. How convenient. Let's see if I lost my spot, which was parked in front of the store. He went inside and purchased paper towels and soft drinks, which is weird, except for the paper towels, soft drinks. You still think it was a McDonald's. He left her alone for between 2 and 5 minutes. He left her alone for between 2 and 5 minutes. Still don't matter. That's no excuse. Shouldn't leave a child in there. When he returned to the truck, she was gone. James immediately contacted the police. At first, they thought Amber might have walked away from the truck, but a ground and helicopter search of the area turned up no trace of her. Child-sized footprints were found at an abandoned rendering plant near the store. However, a search of the plant turned up no trace of her. They soon determined, based on how difficult the truck doors were to open from the inside, I'm assuming. So they're kind of wondering how the 2-year-old, because they used to have those real funky latches.
Well, plus it was an older truck.
It's a 66. I think it was like a year 66. If I saw in one of the, it might even be in this. So let me find my spot here. And so based on the truck doors, so they don't think that she walked away on her own. Somebody.
No, there was a witness in the parking lot that observed the truck for that time period, and he testified in court when during that short court trial before it was overturned, that he didn't see anyone near the truck and didn't see Amber inside the truck.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Geneva, for the $20 super sticker. You were so awesome. So we'll kind of skip ahead here. So they first suspected the father, Larry, poor Larry
Yeah.
Crumb.
Oh,
Obviously,
yes, they went to Kentucky and arrested him. The
oh
FBI
wow,
went out and, I mean, they took it serious.
sure.
They did what and reacted to what information they had, and that there was some type of child custody issue. So they went and got him, and then it turned out that, of course, Amber wasn't there.
So yeah, so we'll so 3 weeks after Amber's disappearance, no. At the time, they still believed it was an abduction, but then the story twist. There's definitely some twists and turns in this case. So 3 weeks later, after her disappearance, January 13th, 1984, on January, 1984. That's got to be 1980. She went
That's
missing.
correct, 84, because she went missing December 26th.
Oh, that's right. The year later. Gotcha. Yep. Gotcha.
It's just the week later.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, next year, 3 weeks later, James, the boyfriend who was supposedly, innocent and just went into the store and left the girl in the truck, was arrested.
And you have to note also that this was during the worst ice storm
in
1983 that Dallas had experienced in 40 years.
That's crazy. Let me get caught up in chat here.
Who takes a 2-year-old girl out into the worst ice storm in 40 years?
That's a good question, FM Music, and we'll get to it because, like I said, there are some twists in the story.
Yep.
So get caught up here. So they arrested the boyfriend. So then now after arresting the boyfriend, James, every time I look away, I lose my spot. Police believed he had killed and disposed of her on Christmas night. So on the 25th. They found evidence that he had abused her, which is terrible. She had several people saw bruises on her in several places. I'm assuming this is before.
Yes.
And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it sounds like she was being abused by him, sadly. And even lost his temper on Amber, the mother.
Stephanie's mother.
Yeah. James admitted to a private investigator that he spanked Amber when she tried to crawl in the dryer. So he's trying to make excuses for these marks. We skip forward here. Now this is where things kind of twist. So when the private investigator tried to reconstruct the scene at the store, James' story of how he went in the store and parked in a certain spot and then came out and she was gone. James insisted he had parked the truck in a certain space. However, it was confirmed he actually parked in a different space. None of the witnesses that were in the store that morning could remember if James was alone or if Amber was in the truck with him. No witnesses, well, there actually would be, reported seeing anyone approach the truck either. Now we'll skip this. Apparently there was some drugs use before this. Then that evening, so on Christmas Day, this is where it also gets kind of interesting and sad. That evening, she heard James yelling at Amber. So this is Christmas Eve, or not Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve Day evening. In a sworn statement, Stephanie, the mother, said that they used some drugs that evening. She heard James yelling at Amber he was giving her a bath at around 8:30. He put her in her crib, and when Stephanie checked on Amber an hour later, she noticed that Amber was facing the wall, so away from probably her, facing away in her crib. Her eyes were open, and she was not blinking. She was also not moving. Stephanie believed she was dead.
Yes, that's the information that that she provided to law enforcement, and that's what brought up the charges against James, and of course, they went to court.
Oh, it's absolutely terrible. Thank you so much, Mike D, for becoming a member. And just quick mention on the members, it'd be a great time to be a member or a Patreon because I'm going to have tons of exclusive stuff for members and Patreons because I'll be filming as I go out there and get to sightsee when I can. And so it's going to be a lot of stuff for the members. So thank you so much for supporting the channel, Mike. So there's a little bit more. In her statement, this is the mother. Stephanie said that she woke up the next morning, December 26th. She noticed that Amber's blanket, sheets, nightgown, and pillowcase were missing from the crib. James told her he washed them. She said it was unusual for him to do the laundry. He had never done that in the 7 months they had been living together. He told her he was just helping. Thoughts on that, Steve? That sounds like a huge red flag.
It is. I mean, he did a lot of things that morning that he never did before, and it's, when you look at the totality of the circumstances, of course, it's not a great outcome for Amber.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. So I know there's a little bit more to this crazy story. I don't want to get too much into it because there's quite a bit. Let's see, let me jump along here. Okay, yeah, let me read this part. So during a prelim hearing on January 19th, so a few more weeks later, after they had arrested James, Stephanie changed her story. She said Amber was alive on Christmas night and that police pressured her into making a previous statement. She said she was not sure if Amber had been kidnapped, but she believed she was still alive. However, she maintained that other parts of her statement, such as taking the drugs, James yelling at Amber, and him doing the laundry, were true. A friend and coworker of James said he spoke to him on the phone of the morning, December 26th, and heard Amber talking in the background. Police searched James' home but found no evidence of foul play. January 20, a judge released James from custody, citing insufficient evidence. In February, grand jury heard the evidence against him. On March 30th, it was announced that they chose not to indict him.
Yeah. No body, no crime under that circumstances, and hopefully we'll be able to correct that. At least we're going to try.
Yeah. Now, there would be another link. So as you guys may have seen the thumbnail, there's a bunch of other girls. Now, there was really only two main suspects in this case that were really looked into, or persons of interest. Excuse me, I should rephrase that. And we have that as, where's his name at? Peyton. Where did he go?
Yeah, he was a serial offender that had a history of that happened to be in town during this period.
Yeah, David Elian Payton was identified as a person of interest in Amber's case, as well as several other cases of missing and hurt young kids. I have to be very careful with my vernacular. He has been in prison in Ohio since 1987 for taking the life of his own son. And also, let's see, gosh, I know there's quite a few. Yeah, so his own son, and then he later pleaded guilty to taking the life of 3 girls in Texas. But there was just like a bunch of girls that just went missing all in a short span of time. And just say, I know we don't think he's connected to this. And I wasn't sure because I know there's only 2 persons of interest, but he was kind of labeled as one. But if it was him, Amber would actually be one of his first victims next to his son.
And there's other things such as the witness that was in the parking lot that said nobody approached the truck. He didn't see Amber in the truck. He testified, and for whatever reason, the courts ignored his testimony and accepted her, the mother's testimony. But and he has since, the witness in the parking lot has since passed away, sadly.
Oh, that's terrible. So now, is James still alive?
Yes.
Is he incarcerated, or is he?
No, he's in another state.
Okay. All right. And we want to give away. So without giving too much detail, I'll let you take it from there. What do we know? We're going to be checking a house. Obviously, I'm not going to give away the location or anything, but what's taking us to today?
Well, at the time that Amber went missing, her mother was from a very prominent family. And they were able to fund and hire one of the most or the premier investigator in the state of Texas at that time, and probably in the United States, most definitely in the top 10. Extremely interesting private investigator named Bill Deere. Um, he's almost, I guess he's close to 90 now, still extremely intelligent, bright, well articulated, and this case haunts him. And I spoke to him a couple of times, and hopefully we'll get to go out there. I've got to go pick up his all his records of the case, because he says he's willing to share and give them to us, because he wants the case to continue on after him. And so that's going to be part of the reason we're in Texas, is to acquire and secure those documents. But he says certain parts about the house that while law enforcement searched it, they never searched the crawl space. And so we're going to make sure that's done, because it, like I said, the ice storm that was in Dallas, you can go look at any of the weather historicals, and you'll see that about a week or two before Christmas, there was a ice, I don't know what type of weather phenomenon that came through Texas, and everything was froze. It was reaching temperatures it hadn't seen, like I said, in 40 years. And so that would limit certain areas of where you might be able to dig. But and then the current owners of the house, when I was asking, when I first talked to them about searching, they brought up a point that they thought the case had been solved, because they had contacted the FBI, because they'd found a blanket with some bones in the backyard, and they turned it over to the FBI. They never heard back. And but of course, that could be anything from a pet animal that was buried in the back that they dug up, and that was in the 90s. And but we're going to look at all those areas on the properties, and any other areas that we have access to while we're there.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bamasian, for becoming a member and supporting the channel. That's awesome. Cut up here. Yeah, so here's actually a photo. So obviously, keep in mind, 1983, black and white.
It's not a place, if you're going out to, you are a child predator, this isn't what you want to see on the highways as you go to kidnap a child. This isn't the type of situation you would want. And there are certain times that they are crimes of opportunity, but these criminals also have to get away with it. That, okay, I've taken a child. How do you get away in this?
Right. So that's interesting. A snowstorm or an Arctic front, and like you said, it'd be really hard to bury a body with frozen. If anybody's ever tried to dug, in a frozen area, it's impossible. As a matter of fact, that poor girl that's went missing, Harmony Montgomery. They had once suspected that she might have been buried in that backyard of one of the homes that the father lived in. It was wintertime, and I'm sure if you guys remember, they actually, and I'm sure I could probably pull this up when I'm talking about it, but they had to pull out these heaters for the backyard. It was a crazy looking setup that they had. Backyard search. Let's see if they have that. Yeah. Let's see. We got one picture. Them setting it up there. Yeah, they had all these tarps down and everything. Well, this is probably not the best one. No, they have some better ones, but yeah, I'm sure for those that are familiar with the case, they kind of did this just to be able to dig the ground and check it. They had to set up all these tarps and then had heaters under them or something like that. Some crazy system set up for that backyard to just be able to dig. So that's interesting, though. And there's, like I said, there's a picture of the supposed ice storm. But that's pretty wild. So let me get that out of the way. And so we're going to be using Carolyn, who is going to be bringing out a device, ERI.
Electrical resistivity imaging or mapping.
Yes. And so, for those that are wondering what that is, I am going to play a video real quick and show you guys because there's two different things. There's the ground penetrating radar, which I kept mentioning, but which is kind of like the lawnmower type deal, if you guys know what I'm talking about. No, I'll probably play both videos so you guys can see.
Yeah, it's Plan B of as we're working out there, and we may use it as supporting evidence if we find something that leads us down that path.
So this is what.
Hi, I'm a conventional geotechnical engineer.
Hi, I'm
Okay, let me turn that down a little bit. Is that a little loud?
That wasn't too bad.
an innovative soil investigator.
Let's construct a roadway on an embankment.
The primary task will be to investigate the underlying soil. How are you going to do that?
I'm going to go to the site and do some boreholes. With that, I'm going to get the soil profile. Based on the soil investigation, I will build the road for traffic.
Is that right one?
Oh no! What happened to the road? It looks like the road has sunk.
I think there has been some settlement.
I haven't watched this video.
I hadn't either.
It is loud.
We might have missed an underlying clay layer.
We could have avoided the problem if we had a continuous profile of the underlying soil. We can achieve that with the help of electrical resistivity imaging.
Okay, this is. Yeah.
Can you please explain how that works?
We insert electrodes in the ground to pass electricity through the soil layers.
Can you please elaborate that?
The electron, while passing from one electrode to another, faces resistance. This resistivity depends on the soil property. When the soil has less moisture and more air voids,
And our scientist,
electron
she's
cannot
able to read
pass
the
through
charts, and she'll be
easily.
able to tell us
As a
when it's disturbed earth, because evidently the density and the color images clearly indicate when there is disturbed earth, such as a grave.
Yeah, so here's what it actually looks like. This is pretty cool. So this is different, and I'll show you the difference between ground penetrating, the GPR, and this. This is really interesting, and this will work great for because we don't know what kind of space we're working in. I mean, we might be working in a very tight
And
space.
that was one of the interesting things because whereas ground penetrating radar, some of that equipment is very large and it's hard to get into crawl spaces. If we can get a probe into the ground, we can use this. If there's a certain enough room and we can run it out around the, even on the outside of the house and around it, and get a full image of all the areas that are accessible under the crawl space in case she is or has been buried there.
So is this going to access? Yeah, I'm sure that's what you meant. Access the ground. Yes. So it's similar to the GPR, which I'll play a video of.
Yeah.
But she can decipher the imaging just like you would with, I'm assuming, with the GPR. And I'll play just a short video of what most people are familiar with and what I was talking about earlier.
We know that our loved ones here, our ancestors are here.
This ground penetrating radar technology is revealing evidence, undisputable proof that crimes were committed.
The remains of 215 children near the former site of a residential school.
So I think this story, of course, this story has nothing to do with Ember Crumb, but I think this story had something to do with their finding graves that weren't, had been marked before.
The Cowessess First Nation announced the preliminary findings of 751 unmarked graves near a former residential school.
Our elders, our survivors, and friends of our survivors have told us stories that knew these burials were here.
It was a part of the CRC hearings. Survivors talked about it. They were not believed. And now we have the proof. This ground penetrating radar has given us evidence.
And so this may be our backup. So she's going to bring be bringing both.
Okay, so we're looking for.
So this is going to be the backup. Steve, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, this is going to be our Plan B. Also, it was going to be Plan B in case that we couldn't get the ERI in certain areas. She contacted a company that is located in Dallas that has the GPR, so we have access to it if we need it.
How far does that penetrate? God, I want to say 5. Well, yeah, go ahead, Steve.
From my understanding, there's certain things that GPR is absolutely great at, and there's certain things that it fails at, and it's the same with hers. So there's something about the groundwater or water table that GPR doesn't work, or it doesn't like. Where electrical resistivity imaging, it doesn't matter about the water table. I think that's because, of course, Carolyn is trying to explain that to me, who can barely operate the Google machine. But we hopefully, as she works this equipment and we learn through the learning curve, I'm sure it's going to be quite revealing, and we'll have some. Regardless of what we find, it will be information that Larry will now have that he doesn't have now.
This is an old video, Harlot. But yeah, it is disturbing, but that's cool that they use that. I think this video was, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, this isn't a new video. We're just kind of a demonstration between the two. But yeah, ERI is electrode, and obviously water is a conductor, and so that will be beneficiary, and we don't have to worry about that, like as Steve just explained. And I see somebody did some memberships. Okay, it doesn't tell me whenever people do gifted memberships, it doesn't show me on StreamYard for whatever reason, which is a shame. Did Bam do gifted? I'm just going to check here.
There's a question about the FBI and the bones. The family never heard back from the FBI of what the bones were, or if the blanket was associated with it or anything. And but we're going to check that area regardless and verify one way or the other.
Now, in this case, EquiSearch wouldn't be, because we're just looking at a house. We're not exploring. This is in this particular case. So EquiSearch really, unless they have, access to that equipment, which they might, I don't know. But we have a specialist, a geophysicist that has the equipment. But yeah, in other cases where if we're searching vast areas, and I have worked, I got the lucky opportunity to work with EquiSearch once, and it was amazing. Tony shows up in our show quite often. He's the one that showed me so many amazing things with the drone, which will come in handy in the future, which was amazing. Look at the thank you. I see quite a few thank yous. Yeah, of course, thank you, Bam, for the gifted membership. But yeah, that's pretty cool. We've got those two there. Let's see. So because we got to get ready to go and stuff and pack and everything. So let's talk about, so that's that case in a nutshell, just a quick version on that. I mean, there's not a lot to Amber Crumb, it's 1983, there wasn't evidence, DNA, which is tough, but hopefully we do have a lead. And if she's under there, I am sure Carolyn, who sounds very, very intelligent, knows what she's doing. If she's under there, she'll find her, which will be amazing. In this, regarding the possible killer in Austin, Texas. Now, with the Amber Crumb case, my thumbnail, I guess I should have, because I wasn't sure. I guess they're leaning more towards one person of interest than the other, right, Steve?
On what?
On Amber Crumb's case.
Yes, on Amber Crumb is unrelated to Austin, Texas. Has nothing to do with Austin, Texas.
Okay, that's my fault. I thought they still had, under my impression, I thought those two, because those are two, like, if you look back, at the details of it, those two people are persons of interest in the Crumb case, in the old documents. So that was my fault. I guess I didn't know that
with also the current drowning situation that law enforcement's looking at in Austin.
Oh, the men.
That's what he's looking
right, the
at.
men. Oh, that's right. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't read the last part of that. Yes, we are going to that too. So we're going to move on to the next thing because we're only going to do an hour show. So let me pull up Texas here. So I'm going to remove this here. So now we're going to pull up Missy Bevers. So this, so hopefully we're going to spend a few extra days after the Crumb case.
Yeah, hopefully we have great results rather quickly, and then I'll open up the schedule for other where we can go out and look at some of the other things that are happening and have happened in Texas.
So Missy Bevers, when did this happen? 2015?
2016, I believe.
2016. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Jennifer. When I'm looking at StreamYard, you can't tag me. I don't see my name doesn't pop up like it does on normal chat. And I don't have Mrs. Steve next to me. So okay, so this is the footage for those that are not familiar with this case. Missy Bevers, which while we're looking at the footage, I'll pull up her just a quick version of hers real quick here. Missy Bevers. And this footage, you want to explain what you think's going on here, Steve? And
this is prior to Missy Bevers arriving there for her exercise class at the church. This individual showed up a short time prior to her arrival and was going through the church with a hammer, opening doors, damaging certain things. And as you can see him swinging, or he or she, because there's a lot of people have looked at it both ways. I'm sure law enforcement has far more footage than what they've released. This is what they released, but later on, Missy was found deceased in the church by some of the people that were going to take her exercise class.
Yeah, very strange. And there was even a sighting of a car nearby earlier before this. I'm not sure if this car is related. No one's ever come forward and said, hey, that was my car driving at this, I think it was another church or a building nearby. And I forget the car, but let me pull up Missy Bevers here. So this is Missy Bevers. And yeah, she was a fitness instructor. And so, yeah, in 2016, she was going to do, some training exercise. She was going to do a class, and they were going to do it at a church. And since I think it was going to be raining, there was even a sign that they made, says rain or shine, we're going to be working out. And so she reserved a part of the church for her, her class. And I guess sadly she shows up, an hour before the students do. And this person that we just played on video showed up, hour before she did, or maybe a little less than that.
A few minutes earlier, but I don't think it's quite an hour, but it was very, the time frame of it was very suspicious, an alarm being off and all the other things that happened. But yes, it's extremely, or it's a great mystery.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they they've actually found windows broken. And I think what the suspect did is actually, before they actually broke into the place, and we'll play the video again, they think they first drove around and threw rocks, or like maybe even got out and busted a couple windows to see if there was an alarm or see if police would show up. And that's why they think that car, it's too bad I didn't have time to get the video, but we're going to run short on time. But there was a video of a car driving near earlier, just before this video. They believe it could be related. But anyway, they believe this person was seeing if there was, cops would show up, but unfortunately there was no alarm, or the alarm wasn't on. This person's wearing full SWAT gear or some kind of police riot gear. And the walk is interesting. It's kind of a duck walk. Some people suspect male. Some people even think it could be a female. You are on the side of male?
I'm on the side of male. I have a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. The only part is the way they use the hammer in one shot, which will come up here in a bit. The way they swing it's a little, I don't know. It seems like they're not familiar with this equipment, but I mean, that still could be a male. I mean, I'm no carpenter, and I would probably be the same way. But they definitely have a unique walk. Now, I just want to get this out of the way. Originally, they thought possibly the father's father, or no, the husband's father. Excuse me, the husband's father. I'm sorry,
but they both have solid alibis.
Yeah, he was in another state.
Yes.
And the only reason he got brought up, is I guess because he does kind of have similar body type, but he went to go to the cleaners and get one of his shirts cleaned, and it had some blood on it. But yeah. I mean, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just throw it away if you were involved? So it was, it was desperately.
They tested that blood, and it came back to an animal like he said it would.
Yeah, my opinion, it's a female. Yeah, I think it's, but a lot of people 50-50 on that. But yeah, interesting case. Cannot believe it hasn't been solved, because you would think, I mean, I'm sure you could get a lot of that gear. I think the husband even believed that a lot of that gear is like motorcycle, like he thinks that might be a motorcycle helmet. A lot of that stuff you could get by yourself, maybe just other than the jacket or whatever that says police on it. But yeah, final thoughts on that, Steve?
Well, on the law enforcement uniform, I've always, or me looking at from my argument, if I was sitting at the round table with other officers, is that a person would dress in this manner if they're trying to go in, stage something, and if someone comes in, that they can represent themselves momentarily as law enforcement to maybe get compliance or to close the distance to get close to them. And,
yes.
And that's one of the reasons I believe that that it is some type of that doesn't mean that they own that gear and it's legit law enforcement. It could be stolen. It could be acquired. There's not much of anything you can't get online now.
Right.
For these,
oh, sure.
Law enforcement impersonators. And but that's just my opinion of why someone would dress in this manner, because how often are law enforcement impersonators out there that stop victims for nefarious reasons? And this would also, of course, turn into be a horrible crime.
Yeah. Now, I guess they did supposed to have some alarms, but they weren't working. And of course, I don't know if there was cameras at that, and they weren't working. Just bad timing, unfortunately. But sadly, she would get there, like 30 minutes before any other student would. And unfortunately, this person ran into her and sadly, as far as what I understand, bludgeoned her to death and got out of there before her students showed up. And unfortunately, her students, the first one or two that showed up shortly after, discovered her body. And it's been unsolved since. It's kind of crazy. especially just with the unique gear that this person's wearing and the unique walk is, yeah. But so this is a case that we're going to travel south to after Amber Crumbs. And then the show that we did on Monday where we talked about all those poor men that have been drowning. Are they related or not? I'll just play a clip of that, and then we'll finish up here because we're just going to go an hour, so we're almost done. Because we got to get ready to go. But here, I'll play the trailer to our last stop. And let me get it ready here. Jennifer, give me a second. I'll look at my phone here. Make sure I don't miss anything. Let's see. Smiley face. Okay. Just in case you guys, some of you guys have probably, most of you have seen this, but for those that might not know about the last case.
And says she's heartbroken to hear another body has been found.
Gosh, it's like it ramps up the volume on these.
The fourth body found in Lady Bird Lake in the past 2 months. Jason John,
Recently, there has been a high number of bodies found in the Lady Bird Lake in Austin, Texas. 4 bodies found in just 2 months. Most young males who were last seen leaving Rainy Street, possibly intoxicated, and supposedly stumbling into the lake and drowning. But that's not the only bodies found in this lake. There have been 8 bodies found in the last 10 months. And years before that, even more bodies found, most of them under similar circumstances. Young males who are athletic, who are last seen leaving a bar or grill and then go missing. Their bodies would be found in a nearby body of water. Although police say there is no connection, many sleuths have gone to social media to say they believe there is a serial killer on the loose. Are all these men really accidentally drowning, or is there something more sinister going on? This is not the first time a cluster of men were found dead in bodies of water. A similar case in the northeastern part of the U.S., known as the Smiley Face Killer or Gang.
It's the sign of a serial killer gang.
The Smiley shows up the night that the body's put in the water.
All their sons vanished.
He called his girlfriend to come and pick him up.
So in 2 minutes, he went missing.
Starting back in the early 2000s, there was a bunch of bodies being found in bodies of water where most of the men were in their early 20s, where they were last seen leaving a bar or a party, and they would go missing only to be found in a nearby body of water. But local law enforcement would rule them as accidental drownings. 2 retired detectives would research these clusters and actually discover some cases where there were many red flags, such as a person being missing for many weeks, although when they found the body, it was in great shape, considering it was supposed to be in the water for weeks. Some cases, they found that there was the GHB drug in their system, and eventually some of these cases were even actually reopened. But so far, no one has ever solved this mysterious case. So now, with the bodies stacking up in the Lady Bird Lake, begs the question, is there a connection, or is this one big coincidence? Join us tonight, former Detective Steve from True Crime Web. Okay, so that was the trailer for our Monday. I think most of you have seen that, but interesting. There are some similarities. You got young, mostly white males. Are actually, this time, it isn't all white males. I think there was a Jonathan. The John. That's really interesting. The names. There's at least 3 or 4 Johns. Now, John is one of the most popular names, even for first, and then I would say last and middle, maybe not as popular, but still up there. But it is interesting.
Absolutely.
We look good together here.
I don't know at what point you snagged that picture, but it did take a few years off of me.
Oh yeah, so you can shrink it. You know, when you're using paint, you can crop it. You know, go wide. You know,
appreciate that.
Shrink a couple pounds. Thank you so much, Chevy. Have a super trip. Thank you so much. Yeah, when I'm on StreamYard, I can't. If you guys tag me or anything, I don't see it. I wish StreamYard would update their stuff. It's frustrating. I do have a secondary screen, but it takes me a minute to pull it up here. But so that is the third part of our travels. Like I said, we're having some multitasking with this trip to Texas, and might just do a little sightseeing. Thoughts on that particular?
Well, no, I'm going to be pretty busy, and you've never. You're going to be introduced into something as far as what law enforcement does. There's no rest for the weary.
Cool.
We'll
Sure.
sleep next week.
Sounds good. I've never been to Texas, so I got to get it in. Do y'all travel to look for people? I'm new, so I really appreciate having you here, Crimes. We kind of plan these cases ahead, and this is our first time doing this, so this is kind of all new to us. Even I usually cover just true crime, the latest true crime stories, but now meeting up with True Crime Web, Steve here. That's and his connections is unlocked.
I work cold cases. I have a couple, 3 that I'm working. Of course, Amber Crumb's one, and then I'm also working Evansdale closely with the family of Lyric and Elizabeth.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chevy, again for the $50. Like I said, everything is going to go right. 90% of it's going to go right to these trips, and we've gotten all our supplies ready. Now it's just tomorrow packing, and we're literally leaving less than 48 hours, 36 hours from now. We'll be on the road. So absolutely amazing. And once again, we would not be able to do it without you guys taking the time to watch the show. And like I said, this is going to be something completely, especially if we come back with some positive results. That'll be so cool. I mean, that'll be so worth it. I don't care.
Regardless of what the results are, they're going to be absolutely answering questions, and that's part of law enforcement and investigations. That's you answer questions, and when those questions get answered, you go to other questions, and at some point you'll get the right question answered.
Jennifer wants on the road dancing videos. Stepping up my game. Oh boy, you're gonna have to show me some moves, Jennifer. Yeah, my moves aren't that good. Safe travels. Thank you guys for the safe travels. And like I said, a great time to be a member of Patreon. Of course, I will have videos for everybody, members and non-members, but there will be tons of stuff with this travel that I'll be uploading. And then I'll still try to see if I can get some videos in on the Lori Vallow case, because there actually been some crazy revelations with that case. I just prefer to cover that case because I know more about it than the Letitia Stout case. So we just hit the hour. Camilla Norris, thank you. John is the most popular name. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. John Muhammad Worldwide. Oh, interesting. Muhammad's Worldwide. Yeah, John. But it is crazy though. Just in 2 months, 3 Johns go missing in the same body of water. It's kind of odd. Let's see. Any final words? Can you do live videos? No. Oh, while we're there, I will be doing some live videos on the road. I won't be doing anything live there because I have to be careful. I don't want to be showing an address or anything like that. But yes, I will be filming, and I'll put a video together of the whole storyline. So expect that. That'll be big. Like I said, we're trying to be like AWP. That's only, but better with better reputation and everything else. So that's the dream, but more versatile and everything else. So final word, Steve.
No, I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to meeting you. And I appreciate everything you've done for with your show, and I look forward to what our future will have.
I'm excited, like I said, and I couldn't do it without everybody that's in the show right now. Like I said, I'm really excited. Thank you guys so much, Bam. Thank you for everything, the gift membership. Are you and Mr. Steve doing updates on the road? If we find something, obviously the family's going to know first. We've kind of talked about that. If there's anything that we find, family's going to know first. This will be nothing. We're not going to be going live and going, hey, success and found this. We want to make sure the family knows, do it the right way. So, but yeah, is Mrs. Steve going to keep y'all out of trouble?
No, she's going to be staying behind in Georgia, taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of here. And so Chris will have his hands full.
Yeah, one of these days, maybe I'll find me one if I have time. That's the biggest thing. I just don't have time for a Mrs. Steve, or to find a Mrs. Steve, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
But
all right. Well, I appreciate it, Chris. You can throw me backstage. And,
yeah, buddy.
And as always, guys, we thank everyone that has given us the support, not only Chris's channel, but my channel and the foundation that we have and everything. And because it has allowed us to do this, that we couldn't do it without you. But anyway, you can throw me backstage now, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and one last thing. For those that are new to this channel, go and subscribe to Steve's channel, True Crime Web. It's been posted in the chat multiple times. I always put it in my description as well. So please go and subscribe to him. We'll be sharing a lot of the same stuff. True Crime Web, YouTube/C/True Crime Web. And like I said, I'll put that in the description and comments when the video's done. So I'm not going to play an outro because we got to get going and packing. So I love you guys. And thank you so much. And like I said, I'll be going live on the road in a couple days. So love you guys.